Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Leighton's Loft. It is not a beautiful Wednesday afternoon here, Lou. How is it up near where you live?
Oh, wow. What are you getting down there?
It's a combination of rain, snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Not good.
Just cloudy right now, but I think that's coming for us a little bit later today. Yeah.
Yep. So that's the
Well,
deal.
it's March, so you never know what you're going to get.
Remember going out with a girl in college. Her name is Catherine. Catherine, if you're listening, which I'm sure she's not, I hope all is well. Heard she's married and so forth. But I remember I had a string of opening days I had gone to in a row, Lou. You know, like I'm sure we all had this as a kid. I had a buddy who had been to, I mean, talk about torture. I think he had been to approximately 80 or 90 Jet home games in a row.
Wow.
I mean, you know, he obviously has a problem well beyond what I have because
he's in therapy now, right?
Team, but he likes torture.
He's in therapy now, right?
Well, permanently, obviously. You know, that goes without saying. It's like, you know, do you get up in the morning and breathe? If you're alive, you do. Well, if you've been to every Jet game for the last 80 or 90 games, of course you go to therapy. You don't have to ask that.
Yeah. My tradition used to be to go to the Patriots Day game here at Fenway every year, which was an 11 o'clock start. And it was the 11 o'clock start in April because it was a marathon. It was on Marathon Tuesday.
Oh, sure.
And so everyone would go to the ballpark and get out and be able to watch the marathon come by Fenway as it's heading towards the end there. It just snowed and was 20 degrees so many times. I said at a certain point, I just said, unless somebody's cutting me a check, I am not going to Fenway before June 1st ever again. It's just not happening.
Yep. It's the reason why I was bringing it up today, because it was this kind of weather, but actually it snowed more that day. It was a very early April. I believe it was a Yankee home opener. You know, it was like my 5th in a row or something like that. I was all excited to tell this girl like she cared. And we went with a couple of friends as well from school, and the weather was so bad. We basically, I wasn't 21, so we went inside. We gorged ourselves on food and tried to watch the game from afar.
Yeah.
But you're right, Lou. I don't mind going to an April game if I can buy tickets the day of.
Yep.
But other than that, yeah, it's really a crapshoot.
It's funny. I was a Patriots season ticket holder for years, and literally tailgated in the snow, in knee deep snow before the games, and that didn't bother me half as much as sitting at Fenway at 25 degrees or 30 degrees.
Yeah,
or whatever
something about football.
Oh.
I agree. I wanted to say good afternoon to Tom and Brandon. What's up, James, Nick, Mike? It's nice to get you live here with us this afternoon. Tyler, Ken, Daniel, thanks for joining us today. So we're going to talk about the Philly show and some of the things I saw there, which I thought would be cool for those who couldn't attend, and even for Daniel who was there. It'll be fun to talk about some of the things I saw firsthand. I did want to talk about one other thing. We're going to give away 2 fun prizes today. First is a $50 brake credit courtesy of Vintage Brakes. You can spend that on any brake on our website or towards a more expensive brake. So just stay tuned till the end of this show and in the beginning of our next show, which is a stream for Vintage Brakes live on YouTube at youtube.com/Vintage Brakes. Mm-hmm. And secondly, we're going to give away 5 free spots to one winner in tonight's thank you bonus promo. We had a wonderful weekend. Our after party bonus promo, ended on Sunday. And this satchel page was sitting, I believe, in one of our bonus envelopes for a little while. So we decided that we wanted to give it away. So it's a $10 bonus. So you can still get in. We're going to give it away tonight. But one person is going to win 5 free entries in this bonus and have a chance to win satchel tonight. So stay tuned after Leighton's Loft for a really fun stream today with Vintage Brakes.
What a nice looking 1.5, huh?
Yeah, no, it's very nice. We're going to talk about Philly, and then after that, we're going to show off a collection. J5, I mean, guys telling me he's doing work when he's in Hawaii. I'm like, you're going to be divorced soon, my friend. But nonetheless,
he did not do work in Hawaii.
He did. I mean, I understand. He said he did a few minutes a day to try to make sure the mountain didn't pile up. I will say, first, it's very much appreciated. Second, I hope Jade doesn't watch this episode because maybe she was sleeping. Because I asked, I said, well, where was Jade? And he said, yeah, might have been early in the morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Sun gazing or resting. And so, all that stuff sounds reasonable. However, it's a couple days into him being back, we've already got a collection he's procured. So we're going to share that off. Largely from the 1940s, which is fun. So before I do that, I did want to mention what I saw at Philly. So Philly We did miss J5, of course, but it was bumping.
I saw all the posts. They were like wall to wall people. The aisles were always full. It looked like it was a great show.
They need more. I mean, Matt, would you agree? They need more room.
Yes.
Like it's at the point where someone said this to me. If you're the promoter of that show, forget about autographs, behind the scenes costs. I'm not saying any of that. Just the floor traffic. You can't hope for more.
Oh yeah.
Because if you hope for more, you're literally going to have the fire department come in and close the place down. And in fact, they apparently, I guess the show themselves regulated themselves. And there were so many people on one of the days where it's kind of like, you're going to with COVID and everything, right? So many people in the room. Yeah, they had to cut off the amount of people that were coming in because there were too many.
And correct me if I'm wrong, just looking at the post, lots of kids, just lots of kids.
Oh, lots of kids.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Ken made a funny remark. I wish he was here, but he's taking care of something right now, right? So Ken's brother came down. And the reason why it's important, of course, is Ken's brother, it's his family. And he's saying to me, late, I didn't think there was a chance in heck my brother was coming down because XYZ, COVID this or, whatever the case may be. But I think he was really intrigued by what Ken was doing for us.
Yep.
He wanted to kind of meet us in person. And then you could see it in his face. He's like, this is crazy. He's a businessman and he could see so if nothing else, how much admission do they charge per person? Like you can add up the note. Like this was a very well-attended, highly transactional event. So it wasn't just tire kickers. Yep. Right, people who were like, "How much is something?" And believe me, there's still plenty of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It could be someone who's just going there to spend $5 or $6 for an afternoon and look at really nice cards. I mean, there's so lots of people just kind of gazing, absolutely, but lots of buying, trading. As you said, lots of kids. I miss my buddy Liddy. Shout out to him and his son Joe, who came Sunday. I wasn't there. Really good autograph guests. And, someone said this to me on Sunday late afternoon after the show. Because, I wasn't there, but I wanted to get the recap of even Sunday, what was going on. So this is something that's fascinating. Typically at a show, gang, it's not easy to get people. The hardest day at a Friday, Saturday, Sunday to get people there is on a Sunday. And if you think about it, right, a lot of the nation, depending on where the card show is still going to church on Sunday at some point.
Sure.
In the morning, late morning, whatever. So that affects attendance. Also, I know for a fact, what's up, Nick? Myself included in my family, Crosby calls it like the Sunday night doldrums or something like that because he knows school's the next day.
Yeah.
So some people they like to go out on Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday morning, or church is their thing Sunday morning. And then come Sunday at noon, they're like, you know what? I want to watch sports.
Right.
Maybe I'll go food shopping at some point in the afternoon. But I know plenty of people that like to just kind of hang out. So my point is, what I heard on Sunday was it was packed. And this is the kudos to the staff because you never know how it's going to work. They took Sunday and they basically almost dedicated it to the local athletes. So in other words, very popular former Eagles, former Phillies, a 76er or two. And what happens is all of a sudden, you change the dynamic because let's be honest, right? Whether it be it's like Monty who's chasing down his 96 Yankee piece for the last 25 years, might get him divorced. There's lots of people when it comes to local fandom that bond is just as strong as it is with a superstar athlete. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yes.
Right. So for me growing up, I mean, Donnie Baseball was a star.
Yeah.
But Bernie Williams or I would have done a lot to meet, maybe not Jim Leyritz now, but the Jim Leyritz of then.
No, but every market has their guys, guys that attach themselves to the fans because that type of player that the fans love, not necessarily a superstar, but God, you love this guy.
Absolutely. I do want to comment or address Jay's comment, which I think was interesting on YouTube. I don't think you see this, Lou. He said, the better the autograph signers, the less dealers make money. Customers only have a limited amount of money to spend.
Yeah. And
that I totally agree with you. However, I also go to enough conventions, and this one in particular, that I'm telling you 5 years ago, there wasn't this room full of people. So however you want to slice it, my point is if there's additional people and some of those additional people are coming for autographs, okay, but guess what? Those people contributed to the local economy. They bought lunch at the casino, right? And let's be honest, I can tell you 2 years ago, you couldn't even get lunch at this casino because half the places were closed because of COVID.
Right.
Rooms were sold out. 2 years ago, not the case.
Plus, you get somebody there for an autograph, and they see what's going on in the rest of the show, and they walk around. They're coming back next year. No, I'm doing
Lou,
this event next year.
you said it
Yeah.
best. If someone had a good time, then they're going to come back and they're going to tell their buddy, their neighbor.
Yep.
So
And
I
they
thought
had
that was
dozens of autograph guys, right? I mean,
Oh,
I remember the front page of the site.
We're gonna finish up when we conclude Philly to talk about Goose and Spud Webb, because both those gentlemen were amazing guests. I just saw J5. He cringed a little bit. He's like, I missed it. They were great. I mean, Goose was like a loose cannon.
Yeah, I figured he would be. He's also in great freaking shape. He looked great.
Oh, I would have played tennis. I think he was ready to go. But the thing is, I guarantee you he doesn't. He's like, I'll throw you a fastball. Like, I'm going to need some warming up first. Let's call it BP. So anyway, I wanted to talk about some of my other observations from the show briefly. Number 2, tons of vintage compared to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like mind-boggling. So I'm making it up. If there was 3 booths in Atlanta that had vintage, there had to be 25 booths at Philly that had vintage. Easy.
Okay, what do you chalk this up to? How do you think?
Well, it's largely a vintage show, so it's rooted in that.
Okay.
But this is something to keep in mind, and I'm going to consider this moving forward. As I travel a little bit more, as things continue to hopefully open up, right? Fingers crossed. I'm going to make sure I try to find out. For example, I know the Dallas show is a little bit more of a modern show. So people have asked me, why don't I go there? Not that close, mainly a modern show.
Yep.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a big baseball card nerd. I'm happy to go check it out if all the stars align, but I might reserve myself for, let's say there's a big Tennessee show, or I just missed the big Tennessee show, meaning checking out a show where I've heard not only is it a good show, or it's a smaller show, but like what they have in I think Ohio, it's like it's been something that's been running for a while in the spring. I forgot exactly what they call it, the Ohio Sports Collectors, something or other. It's a very popular annual show, and it's like 84% vintage.
Do you see a difference in the floor? Do you see a difference in the people who are there, depending on the focus of the show?
So yes, because let's just say for every guy like me, i.e. vintage, that was in Atlanta, there might have been like 6 guys like me for every guy like me at Philly, because they know it's vintage.
Yep.
So on the one hand, if there's anything good or reasonably priced, I could have bought it in Atlanta. But on the other hand, you have very little to choose from. Here, there was tons to choose from. I don't think things were like necessarily badly overpriced. It was just not priced in a situation where I was able to snag anything that was, let's say, $5,000 and up. And I felt either A, it was a good long-term investment, or B, I could sell it now and make a small, tidy profit. So most of the vintage cards, which I'll show off my Instagram account, Leighton_Sheldon, were largely, I would say, $250 to $2,000 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of wax. We were able to buy lots of wax, which is cool.
Yep.
And so the last thing I wanted to mention about Philly before we talk about Goose and Spud Webb was what was selling at our booth. We don't sell a lot often because we don't focus on it. However, always interested in just the trends and such, and curious in terms of like, hey, what are you seeing as far as, modern card selling, vintage sets, dollar cards. So, we didn't bring anything cheap in that. We didn't have dollar boxes or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
But we try to put out a fair amount of graded cards that went in our eBay store, some other really fun stuff that's not in our eBay store. And then, of course, our vintage breaks set up with some fun stuff on display for vintage breaks. And I'll tell you, gang, I know Matt, Ken, Mark saw this firsthand. We sold a couple sports cards, definitely. We sold more non-sport cards than anything.
Really?
I'm not counting, breaks and stuff. I'm just saying for cards at the booth. It was very interesting to see the mixture of Pokemon and Marvel cards, even a couple vintage non-sport cards. So, I think that with the advent of Zero Cool, which is, I think, like an offshoot of Josh Luber's like passion project into culture cards under the Fanatics brand, I think long-term, whether it be you want a Barack Obama card or a Jay-Z card, or you want a Ronald Reagan card or a George Washington card, I think that some music, historical cartoon comic cards have a lot of room to grow, and they also didn't make as many of those. So, for example, I'm making it up, but in 19, whatever the Gilligan's Island set is, I joke about at home, like 65. I mean, they made a minuscule amount of those cards compared to the amount of Topps baseball cards they made from that year.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that was interesting.
So how do you feel like Pokemon when you said Pokemon, that kind of perked my ears up? That's why a lot of kids that's one of the reasons why a lot of kids are there, I would imagine. How have they handled the whole scarcity thing with their manufacturing? Do you think they're doing a good job in creating a market for themselves?
You know, I don't know the Pokemon market, of course, the way that I do sports cards, but there is some similarities in the sense of vintage, even though Pokemon is from a different time period. Mid 90s, specifically like 96, 97, that's vintage Pokemon. Okay. There's tons of modern Pokemon, and modern Pokemon could mean 2010, 15, or 20 or 22. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like if I was going to give one tip to someone who was, let's say, starting to have interest in Pokemon as an investment because they started playing Pokemon as a game, and let's say they got involved in the last 2 years in Pokemon, and they've been looking at a lot of the new stuff.
Yep.
I would say look at all the new stuff like entertainment. But if you want to take your hard-earned money, either buy wax or high-grade singles from the mid-90s.
So they haven't been turning over cards, and they haven't limited production to try to give some value to these cards. They're trying to sell cards. They're still in the market of trying to sell cards.
I believe they are, but remember, it's a game.
Yeah.
So some of the cards, you only maybe get one hologram card per pack. There's 35 or 100 hologram cards in a box. Therefore, you're not guaranteed to get one in every box. So a little bit of manufacturer scarcity, but not so much that I've seen. And people have been asking in Pokemon, like, when are they going to come out with numbered? I believe sooner rather than later is my guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Just because that's where we're going to go. Did want to touch upon Goose and Spud, and then if we had time, show off some of the highlights of this new collection that we got recently. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, 66 Batman's a great set. So Goose Gossage joined us on Saturday for a break, a live experience, and chatting. And man, all I had to say was just a couple things, and it was like just rolling from there. And he switches. He'll go back and forth to like slow and steady to baseball's a hot mess, and so it was a little hard to keep up. But all kidding aside, he was really fun, and honestly, he's got a love for the game that you can feel. So even if you want to say that you don't agree with him, or to go as far as to say he's crazy or crotchety or anything in between, here's the deal. I don't know that many people that know more about baseball than he does.
That's true. But he is crazy and he is crotchety, but I don't consider those things bad things. I like him a lot. He's just outspoken. He's just passionate. That's all. And I love the passion.
Totally agree with
Yeah.
you. So wanted to then talk briefly about Spud Webb. Was really interesting because, of course, you could read someone online as short. You can read that they won the slam dunk contest at the height of 5'6" or 5'8", whatever it was.
Yeah.
But then, to talk to him and meet him in person, I mean, very humble. He told the story and shared with us when he participated in his first slam dunk contest. And he literally didn't want to do it because he was a rookie and he kind of thought it was a joke at first. I thought it was like someone in Upper Hawks management got him to do it, for the league. And basically he wanted to go home to his family. So he participated, and I said, like, did you put a lot of thought? And he said, and it makes sense, right? Like maybe today it's a little bit different, but back then, he was saying like, you just kind of improvised, Lou.
Right. Yeah.
You're standing on the sideline, you think about it, you try to visualize, and you go and you do your thing.
But it was pre-hype. It doesn't have the same hype it has now, and he's a lot of the reason it has the hype.
Listen, totally agree.
He turned the page on that event.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about playing against Jordan, and I tried to get some juicy gossip from him about MJ, but it was tough.
Yeah.
But he was a good guest as well. I enjoyed both their time very much. I know we're approaching 2:00 and the start of the Vintage Breaks North Stream. So I wanted to show off. Oh, this is cool. I wanted to show off just some highlights of the collection.
Here we go.
So we'll start off first with a couple tickets. These are cool. These are from Mickey Mantle's rookie year from August. And as many people know, especially if you follow Darren Ravel on social media, ticket stubs have been picking up. You can go to a game for $2.50. Lower box.
Yep, there you go.
Oh my God, it makes me ill.
You can't
even get a bad pretzel for $2.50.
You can't get anything at Yankee Stadium for $2.50 right now.
No. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't think you can. I mean, you can get free stuff. Like you can go ask for a Band-Aid. If you go to First Aid, they won't charge you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
good for
they
them.
give you a free Band-Aid.
For a $200 ticket. But I've always wondered why tickets weren't a harder market. I mean, first of all, built-in scarcity.
Yeah.
If you have anything attached to something relatively historic, what a great item to collect that is.
Wow, this is a fun little deal here. So J5 didn't do it justice on the phone. This is the first time I'm seeing them. Saw the spreadsheet and, I had my fingers crossed. But J5 didn't have the Hawaiian fever. Get a hold of them. So this is a nice little group of late 40s and 50s Bowman cards, but with heavy duplication on the right player. So check this out. It's not one, but it is several Warren Spahn rookies. This is pretty cool.
Nice.
Man.
Yeah.
4, is there 5? Wow, 5 Warren Spahn rookies. Stan Musial, I think there's at least a couple. So there's 2 of those. Oh, pardon me, there's 3 of those.
Look at Stan, yeah.
Yogi Berra, one of my favorite cards from 48. 1. Phil Rizzuto, Ralph Kiner, Johnny Mize. And then 1950, looks like a Casey Stengel and a Early Win and Gil Hodges.
They all had very distinct follow-throughs. I mean, the Yogi Berra follow-through and,
Oh, wow, yeah. These are, we'll just show you how they are in the box. This is the box they came in. They're still in it, and they're all loose. Oh, wow. Remember this, Lou? This is the top of the box. Seiko?
Yes.
This will be the Seiko 48 Bowman collection.
There you go. Yep.
Mike, I know, I think Mike might have been working on 48. Mike Dorr. Mike might have been working on a very interesting military collection. So if you need any 48s, Mike, drop me a line. I think you have my cell, but if you don't, just send me an email. So that was cool. Kudos to J5 and the team, Mark, for bringing that in to Just Collect and, affording us the opportunity to buy a really cool collection. You'll see the story behind that on our blog. I myself don't even know the full story, but I know it's pretty cool to buy a 1948 Bowman collection that has almost a half dozen Warren Spahn rookies, several Stan Musial rookies, so on and so forth. So,
okay, where can people find the Goose Gossage and Spud Webb appearances from Philly?
Sure. So for now, I believe they're part of our mainstream on youtube.com/vintage breaks. However, this week, and Ethan, I don't know if you're listening, but we should prioritize, if you could work with Matt and Ken on busting out the Goose Gossage and Spud Webb interviews. So it has its own YouTube video.
Yep.
Great. Goose Gossage apparently is already up on YouTube at youtube.com/vintage breaks. And you could just search from there and you would find it.
Excellent. All right, on to the breaking. There's recap the giveaways too. And people, if you're watching this full screen right now, you need to flip over to the stream that's going to be the break this afternoon, because this break will end, so you'll know. You just go look for the other stream. And then what can they win this afternoon?
Absolutely. So hang out for the next few minutes if you can. We're going to give away 2 really fun prizes. First is a $50 break credit to vintagebreaks.com. You can buy any breaks you'd like, or if you'd like to put it towards a more expensive break, you can do that. So if you're so inclined, and we're going to give away 5 free spots in the 1953 Topps Satchel Paige thank you bonus from this past incredible weekend in Philly. Thanks to our team, to Joe Drellick. Thank you to Capitol Grill, which I'm only saying that to make J5 jealous, because really it's not easy to make someone jealous who comes back from Hawaii on vacation.
No,
but I do know he appreciates Capitol Grill.
Yep.
And we had a feast. JK got shorted on prosciutto wrapped mutz. We had another plate come.
Really?
Yeah, it was great.
All right, excellent. Yeah, you can't go wrong at the Capitol Grill. Yeah. See you next week.